This is the Cartier Tank, one of the most iconic watches in history, and it's made for people with very big wallets. And this is me, and that's my wallet. Yeah, we're gonna need to find an alternative. About a year ago, I did a ton of research and found this, the Sanda Tank. It's the tank for my budget, and everyone on YouTube touts this as the best $20 watch. So after using it for around 10 months, I'll tell you about how true those claims really are.
And I know you're probably wondering, well, isn't this a Clomage and don't you strongly dislike Clomages? Don't worry, I'm gonna get to that.
And with the holidays just around the corner, a serious question arises. Should you pick up this $15 watch and give it to someone and pop it in their stocking because it's so unbelievably cheap? The dial is quite remarkable for its price. It almost has this metallic sheen to it. And hot take, even when compared to the Casio Tank, in my opinion, I think that this Sanda Tank looks better. Also, the Roman numerals have no obvious printing errors. The cabochon looks like the real deal from afar, but when it's up close, you can tell that it's fake by just grazing your finger across it because it is clearly made out of plastic. And it also comes on a black leather strap with a deployment clasp that's actually surprisingly quite good. Most watches under $100 have really bad leather straps, but I haven't been incentivized to switch my watch onto a different strap. And the leather strap has also very comfortably conformed to my wrist. The entire watch is polished, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I understand why they did this because the real Cartier Tank must is polished. However, it sort of looks a little bit plasticky. And I think it really comes down to the fact that the case is unfortunately made out of zinc alloy, and the luster of the zinc alloy is noticeably different from stainless steel. The front of the watch sides are more angular and sharp than the Cartier Tank must it's homaging, which I prefer. The hands are blue sword hands, but unfortunately, even without a macro lens, if you just look at the watch up close, you can see the spots that they didn't properly apply paint to. It has a Y120 Seiko movement, which is a true no secondhand quartz movement, which unfortunately can't be said for some other cheaper quartz movements. And I've never had to change the time except for when daylight savings shifted my local time, but otherwise it's been super accurate. Also, the battery can apparently last up to 2 years, and it has an acrylic crystal, which is completely understandable at this $15 price point. And as I mentioned before, the case is unfortunately made out of zinc alloy, but fortunately, the back casing is made out of stainless steel, so it doesn't oxidize and turn your wrist green. And the clasp is also made out of stainless steel, which is all great news. So this comes in at 7mm in terms of thickness, or should I say thinness, and it comes in at 28.4mm in terms of diameter, but since it's a rectangular watch, it wears larger than that, and it unfortunately has a 19mm lug width, which I wish was 18mm, so it's easier for me to get my hands on compatible watch straps. And this comes in at 30 meters of water resistance, which is perfectly fine for me because I don't see myself diving with this watch anytime soon. And it is super light on the wrist, which means that it's super comfortable during extended wear. And one thing I noticed a lot of people were asking in other people's comment section of reviews of this watch was asking if the zinc alloy will tarnish over time, and I have not experienced my watch case tarnishing whatsoever. And if you haven't noticed by now, this is a dress watch, so there is no lume on it. However, it is extremely legible at all angles. So now I have a question for you. Whether you prefer this voiceover segment or if you prefer my normal just click record and start telling you about what my thoughts are on a particular watch type video format, because I'm going to be shifting to that right about now.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It would be extremely helpful for this channel, and it's completely free. Another thing I want to mention is that I will have an affiliate link in the description down below. So it means that I do get a little commission if you purchase from my links, but of course it doesn't mean that it comes at any extra cost to you. It's the same cost. And if you just use the link to buy anything on AliExpress, it also is supporting the channel. So thank you for that. So let's just address the elephant in the room, and it's that this Sanda Tank is a blatant ripoff of the Cartier tank must. And I made an entire video about the good homages and the bad Clomages, and I kind of antagonized Clomages if I'm being completely honest. But recently, I've been doing some reflection. I remembered why I bought Clomages at the start of my collecting journey, and it was just that I didn't want to spend more than $100 on a watch, and I wanted good quality parts. I wanted a watch that would last me a little while. I wanted a watch that had a Seiko movement, etc. And I think that's a pretty fair ask. At this sub $100 price point, the brands don't have basically any money to allocate to R&D. So all of their money is being allocated to the parts themselves. So what ends up happening is they end up copying and pasting designs. And in terms of how ethical that is, I don't think it's fair for me just to give you a blanket statement, this is right and this is wrong and this is where the line is. Personally, I'm still trying to come to a satisfying conclusion for myself, because sometimes I think that this watch hobby can kind of mess with the way that you see things, because just about 8 months ago or so, I thought it would have been crazy to spend over $100 on a watch. And now look where I am. It's really important for all of us just to do some reflection on the way that we perceive watches, and just like the watch price points and what watches are offering, because I think it's a lot to ask for either a watch company that is selling a watch at the sub $100 price point to not only provide great quality parts but also have their own original design, or ask the consumer to actually just hold up and instead of spending $15, just save up a little bit more and spend $300 on an equivalent Seiko that has a slightly original design, even though it heavily is inspired by other watches. That's just my 2 cents. I might be completely wrong. I might have completely missed the mark. Yeah, the way that I see it is this watch does offer something incredible for the price point, and I don't think anyone can argue with that. This watch is $15. There are watch straps that cost more than this entire watch, and the watch strap on this, the case on this, the design of this is, in my opinion, better than watches that cost 5 times as much, better than the Casio equivalents, just in terms of sheer quality and value for money. So in terms of my conclusion, here's what I'm going to say. The holidays are just around the corner, and I think that this watch is the perfect stocking stuffer, because you can buy tons of these and distribute them to friends or family, or you could buy one of these for yourself just spontaneously, because this is at a price point that I don't think requires as much thought before purchasing, just due to how cheap this is. You can't even get a Casio tank at this price point, right? So just bear all of that in mind. So obviously, if you have problems with the ethics surrounding this watch, that might be something to keep in mind. But from the perspective of someone who wants to give their kid a watch and they don't know if their kid has any interest for watches, this might be the perfect watch to get their foot in the door, you know? If you're interested in looking at some watch photos or you just want to answer some polls, I definitely recommend checking out my Instagram or my Watch Crunch account. And also, I definitely recommend checking out some of my watch build videos if you're interested in that. I'll put them up on the screen somewhere here. But yeah, with all that in mind, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that this channel patinas like your favorite watch, and I will see you on another episode on the Time Ticker.